ahead and pass it on to the newsmaster himself.
Actually, I'm gonna take I'm gonna catch that shit. I'm gonna toss over to Fee.
Redirect.
Because Fee's actually taking the head today with Fee Subscription Games.
Hello. How's it going, guys? We're going to talk about some games that you can get for free, either by if you have a subscription, or you might get it for free. Who knows? We'll talk about it. We're going to start off by saying that Stadia has some games, because you know what? I'm going to start off with my favorite, because you know what? It's my section, and so for that reason, I get to highlight Stadia. Yeah.
He's a shill for Stadia. We all know it at this point.
So we had for like the games of the month for Stadia is DreamWorks Spirited Away, Lucky's Big Adventure. Don't know if I'd ever play that, but it's there. Hello Engineer Early Access, a Cake Bash, Unto the End, Control Ultimate Edition. So that's the second place that I can play that game. And then they just randomly shadow drop Mafia 3 Definitive Edition this morning. Just like, here you go. Like
100%. That game, I hated the shit out of it. Mario knows. I for years I've talked about how much I've hated Mafia 3.
Oh, fantastic.
If you haven't played Mafia 3, go back and play it. That game is actually a lot better now than it was when it launched. But the story it tells, especially in today's world, is something that should be looked at and something that should be it's just a good game. It actually is a good game. Go back and play it. It's not as bad as people said it was. Even me, because I said it was bad.
Wow. Okay. Well, there's that for Stadia. Next would be Xbox, which Xbox has a few games there. They have Arrow from October 1st to 31st, Hover from October 16th to November 15th. Castlevania Harmony of Despair is from October 1st to 15th. And then
Castlevania game.
Yeah. And Resident Evil Code Veronica X is from October 16th to 31st.
I'm excited.
Veronica X is awesome.
I never played it.
A really good Resident Evil game.
And I'm excited that I get it for free. I played it on the Dreamcast for 10 seconds and I was like, I can't do this. It's too scary.
I played through that game like at least 4 times. That game is it's one of the last Resident Evils that has the tank controls where like people just like walk around like this and stuff like that. But it kind of by the end of it kind of perfected that like movement system and everything like that. I feel it was really fun.
Is this one after 4 or before 4?
This is in the chronological order of things. This would be before 4.
Okay, so it's between 3 and 4.
Well, it's so it goes Resident Evil 1, 2,
3.
2. Claire leaves and goes to look for her brother, which is what happens in Code Veronica X.
Okay.
Yeah. So 3 happens is like a month after, or is happening during 2.
Okay.
It's like a week in like, or a few days or hours in between. And then 4 happens way years later because like Claire goes to find Chris. Leon becomes an agent of the CIA, then gets tasked to find the president's daughter.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I've never heard of this game before in my life. So when I first read it, I'm like,
yeah, it was like kind of one of those random drops in between like the Resident Evils. It launched on Dreamcast. Eventually got a re-release on PS2 of all places.
People always consider this the true 3, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, it's like I said, it's the last Resident Evil that kind of retains what the original Resident Evils were. It's one of those games I hope it eventually gets a remake, but I don't think we'll ever see it. It's not, the story's not significant. Like there's nothing really that happens in it that really gives much to the overall world other than Claire finds Chris. That's basically it.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'll probably try it because I think I still have gold. I think I canceled it, so next month I won't have it. But because Game Pass is just such a good system, and then just like, what's up?
Quick thing, these are 360 games.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
so these are gold, so you're getting them free for 360, which will work on your Series X or S.
Yeah.
So not PC.
People too.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Speed, we should play Resident Evil 5 though.
Yeah, I'm down to play Resident Evil 5. I'm down to play all the spooky games this month.
Oh yeah, let's do Resident Evil 5 this month at some point. You know what I mean? Mario loves that game.
Okay, so he doesn't want to play that game.
Slow head shake.
My goodness. Next is PlayStation Plus. They have Hell Let Loose, Mortal
Good game.
Kombat X, and then oh my god, why do we need another area to play 2K21? This is
Which 21 is this?
this is the golfing one.
Interesting. Because
PGA?
Humble Bundle also.
This is the
had
PGA
that.
Tour,
PGA Tour.
2K. Yeah, Humble Bundle also had it, and then last month on Stadia they also had PGA Tour 2K21. So
What is with everybody in these fucking golfing games?
They're good games, man.
I sure they are. I got it on
I
Humble
mean,
Bundle. Humble
golf
Bundle gave
is
it to me for the
great,
month.
but I don't want to play golf on a console.
I mean, I like disc golf, but I'm not the biggest fan of regular golf.
The best golfing game I've ever played was Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2004. That's because it had DMX's Party Up in Here as the intro.
I think I played that. I think I played that on my
Incredible.
mobile device, and it was a lot of fun.
Bye.
I think the last one I ever played was on Dreamcast.
Jesus. Okay, well, there we go for that. Yeah, if you want another place to play PGA Tour 2K21, you can play it now on PS Plus. Epic Games is currently Europa Universalis. Oh my god, is that 9? Oh my god. 4. You know what? Roman numerals, guys. You would assume I would know what IV is, but here we are. But then October 7th to 14th is PC Building Simulator, which actually seems like a pretty fun game, and I'll definitely check it out.
That I'm actually going to download, and maybe I might even stream that, because that game is. I've seen like a ton of people play that game. It looks fun as hell, like especially if you're into like the PC building scene.
Yeah.
It's just so expensive. It's usually like $20, and I don't think I want to pay $20 for a PC building simulator, but for free, I'm playing the shit out of that for free.
Yeah, there we go. And I also just put a highlight because it's free. You can play auto chess there. It's a fantastic game. You definitely should check it out if you haven't already. It is free to download. And I'm just suggesting
What's
it because
the difference between chess and auto chess?
So auto
Automatic.
chess is it's a mod from MOBA. Like so what they did was they it's 6 different areas where you get different characters, specifically from my god, why do I not remember anything at the moment? So you collect characters, so you specifically get points, and then you can you get these cards or like options to buy different creatures, and then they become your chess pieces. So it's a 6v6, like 1v6 fighting game. I'm just saying. I don't know why. What are you sinking down for? Oh, you guys are sinking up and down. I forgot.
I sat down
Well,
as I came
Harv
down.
was lowering his desk, so then I was like, "Oh, I'll raise my desk."
But yeah, they created that, and now a bunch of different other ones also have a variant of auto chess, but that's the original one that was bought out, and then they created it into an actual game by itself. Twitch, and
Oh my god,
also
Twitch! This is insane.
Twitch comes out with a bunch of games. Also,
What
as a heads up, guys,
banger.
if you have Twitch Prime and you are just like, you know what, I have a free subscription, you can always feel free to sub to us. You can get some cool badges. We need to get some emotes. Probably we already have Harv's face there, but you can probably get some later on this week because I plan on adding some more.
There's your emote right there. This fucking giant ass forehead.
Oh my goodness, we are not. The
We
forehead,
gotta make
though.
sure it has
There we
to be-
go. There's a sub for Cheesy Man Dan.
Shout out Cheesy
2 months.
Man Dan.
Thanks, Mario,
This new
for the
toaster.
gifted sub.
You're
But
welcome.
the games this month is Star Wars Squadrons Alien Isolation
Banger,
Ghost Runner
Banger.
Song of Horror
Banger.
Complete Edition, Red Wings Ace of the Sky, Wallace and Gromit's Grand Adventure,
Banger.
obviously banger, and then
Yeah.
Secret Files 3. Isn't that absolutely bonk? Like that's a
Dude.
what
That
this
is kind of
list?
crazy. That is
Ghost
kind of
Runner
crazy.
is
Yeah.
a really good game. Ghost Runner is insanely good, and it's not that expensive. It's usually about $20, but insanely good value already right there with Ghost Runner. Alien Isolation is like 100% unappreciated. I kind of want you to play that game, Fee. I want you to play Alien Isolation. I think that'd be a good October
Okay.
game for you. Song of Horror, amazing game, amazing horror game. Star Wars Squadrons, that's worth like a month
Pretty
alone,
good.
right there. Yeah. I've never played Red Wings, Wallace and Gromit, or Secret Files, so I can't really speak on those. But Wallace and Gromit, from what I know, is like kind of like that Telltale style game. It's kind
Originally
of like
was a Telltale
style
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're into that
Oh.
series, and then another flying game with Red Wings, I'm guessing is a
Sure.
fly simulator, possibly in the World War II era, judging by the name. And then I don't know what Secret Files 3 is. That I have no idea.
No, but
I'm not gonna
honestly,
front.
like though, like out of all the options for this month, I would probably say that's probably my number one list. Like that is a
a lot.
very
The
Yeah.
top 3 alone are really, really good.
Story-driven adventure inspired by Tarantino, the Coen brothers, and Bong Joon-ho.
What are you
Joon-ho. Sorry, I'm dyslexic. Secret
Or-
Files 3.
What?
I thought you were talking
I
about
don't know.
I thought you were talking about Wallace and Gromit.
too. I was like, excuse me.
Inspired by Quentin Tarantino.
I mean, I can see it. He's wearing a can.
Oh my god.
Just a
Dude,
bunch of, it's
Wallace or
just
Gromit is
Wallace, the
Does
Wallace,
look like a
Wallace and
bitch.
Gromit are killing each other. What the fuck?
the Wallace and Gromit game is just feet the entire time.
Oh, all right, moving on. Moving
Oh my
on.
god. Okay, so
Didn't
if
was he
you
talking about that this week too?
He did, totally
Yeah.
did. Self-report, self-report. Continue.
oh my god, if you
Sorry, I had to make that
Jeez, I
joke.
don't even if you have the Humble Monthly, they have 12 games that you can get up to, like up to 12 games this month. One of which is a game that we haven't seen on this list, which is PGA Tour 2K21.
I'm actually kind of salty about this. I subscribe to this every.
He's so bad they
'cause-
muted him.
Oh man, it's fuck.
Yeah, this is
I saw this and I was just like, what am I gonna do with a golfing game?
yeah. So there's this Neon Abyss, not for your broadcast, which actually looks like a really fun game. Roki, Narita Boy, West of the Dead, Adam Crops, Heaven's Vault, Swag and Sorcery, which seems like a Frank game if I have ever heard it. Fort and Triumph, Ignorance is Strength, Framed Collection, and that's it.
All right.
But yeah, honestly, it looks like it's a range of different games. I would probably go with Roki, which is like an indie adventure, which looks really cute, and the art style looks really great. Which takes us to the last segment. If you haven't opened up Steam today, you may have noticed that there is an event going on right now that I would highly recommend everyone check out. Which is, I have it here. For some reason, I just don't have my
Next Fest.
notes open. Next Fest, thank you. So for the next 7 days, there are a bunch of different demo games that you can download. A lot of these are available already, but all of these are different indie games that I would highly recommend you check out. There is something for literally everybody. This is, as a heads up, just demos, but it gives you an opportunity to try out a number of games. Maybe something you may have not been interested in trying any like before. Maybe you should check out my favorite game that I still like haven't been able to play fully because they haven't announced the release date and I love them to death, which is Chinatown Detective Agency. They have a great demo. Would highly recommend. 10 out of 10. Honestly, you can play that by yourself or with friends. It is something I'm so freaking pumped for that the moment that they announce the release date, I'm gonna like freak out.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Sure.
So I played the Chinatown Detective Agency prologue.
Yes.
Is that the demo or is there a separate demo as
believe that
well?
is-
That's the demo. Yep. That's day one.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah, the prologue is incredible. Definitely play it for sure.
yeah. Honestly, I was blown away with that demo and I cannot wait until they announce it. It's currently still in coming soon. But who knows? Maybe they announce it soon. Here's hoping. Fingers crossed. But yeah, there's hundreds of games. I think I've already downloaded 15 demos to try. But I'm probably only going to be able to play one or two. But it's always a good opportunity to be able to see what's out there, and you can always wishlist a bunch of games too. So that is the fee description for this week. Woo, or this month. Woo.
Thank you, Faye. That was great. 100%.
Very
That Twitch alone, like I didn't know about Twitch having that stacked of a thing. I cannot wait to, after this podcast, just download. I want to play Ghost Runner. I never bought it. I played the demo. Really fun demo. I just didn't want to pay $30 for a game like that, or 25 or whatever the price was. But yeah, I'm excited to actually be able to jump into that.
Yeah, it connects to your GOG account, so that's cool.
Your GOG.
Gig.
Gag.
Do people still use GOG?
Oh yeah, no, people love good old games.
Yeah, I think I gifted Final Fantasy 14 to a friend using GOG because it was cheaper on there.
Yeah, you have to understand, Sly, if it's on GOG, it doesn't have DRM. And for a lot of people, that DRM is a very big kind of like red flag for a lot of people. Some people will not buy a game until DRM is removed from it. So if it's on there,
it makes the game worse on PC. It literally makes the game worse on PC.
It bogs your game down and stuff like that. It's good for companies that like, want to, save their day one sales, but like it does hurt the end user more than the actual pirates it's trying to, stop.
And as someone who constantly bounces around different stores just looking for better deals for keys, like I'll go to Green Man Gaming or I'll go to G2A sometimes. But GOG also has a lot of discounted games that I'm like, I'll buy it from there.
Yeah.
So I bought Metal Gear from there.
Yeah, has a lot of classic games getting ported over to PC because Metal Gear didn't have a port until GOG actually went in there and made a decent port for the game. Otherwise, you would have had to play it through emulators. But on that note, we're ending today with the news. So I will hand it off to myself.
Favorite section name.
That's right, the patch notes.
Well, patch notes.
No.
Oh wait, no,
Checkpoint.
it was the checkpoint that you hated.
Yes. Insider baseball. She did not like Checkpoint.
You guys see that Twitch is like when they had their,
hashtag
Twitch had their
third base club.
Twitch had their live stream and they
Yes.
called it the patch notes as well.
That's right. There you go.
I just want to say it's just because I kept on forgetting the name Checkpoint, and for that reason I said we need to change it so I actually remember the title of this section, because I could not remember it for the life of me our entire meeting. And I just kept on getting more and more frustrated because I kept on forgetting the name of this freaking section that I'm like, I quit.
We've only had a name for this section for a year.
Yeah.
I always like
We didn't really use it all.
I got you
that
there.
much, but, I guess we did use it a lot. I don't know, Fee. I don't know. It's
I don't know what
it
to tell
is
you.
what it is.
Sounds sus.
Harv is on his way out apparently.
No,
I'm
I'm good.
sleeping, man.
I'm good.
Okay.
I thought you Sly was the one gonna be
It
sleeping.
wasn't. It was.
Harv's just like,
I'm good. No, I'm doing this because I'm just doing this. I'm not gonna fall
Yeah.
asleep. Yeah.
He's putting up his king pose, just
Harv also took a bunch of melatonin before the podcast.
Yeah, apparently.
So here it's a ticking time bomb.
nice. Okay, so I'll try to make this quick then.
7 a.m.s
our
are
first article,
tough, man. 7 a.m.s are tough.
Our first article this week comes from Games Radar's Ali Jones. Sony has officially acquired BluePoint Games. So, guys, in a turn of events that surprised literally nobody on Thursday, Sony announced that they have acquired BluePoint Studios, known famously for their insanely well-done remasters of classic games such as Shadow of the Colossus and Demon's Souls. We saw this coming from a mile away, right?
I mean, it was leaked.
Yeah, when
while
I
ago.
saw the news, I went, didn't that already happen?
Yeah, with all the acquisitions Sony's been making, it was kind of just like they've already been partners with them through Shadow of the Colossus and through Demon's Souls. It was kind of obvious they were going to get bought out at some point.
Yeah, it got semi-leaked a couple months back.
I mean, semi. They put the video. They tweeted out the picture themselves.
They did. They definitely did. This, I guess, I assume was because they wanted to tie it against Tokyo Game Week show or something like that. I don't know why.
No.
This has both been, hey, fantastic news. Also, fuck.
Because
Go ahead. I'll let you go.
so the reason why Mario is saying fuck is because there was an interview with BluePoint, obviously talking about the thing going and they confirmed that they are working on a original game. They don't really specify whether this is a new IP or a remaster of an old favorite, because you can technically say that, for example, Metal Gear is a original game. Castlevania is an original game. You know what I mean? They're original game series. You know what I mean? So they don't really specify this is brand new IP, which they've been trying to apparently work on for years, or something that they're currently working on that is original.
Yeah.
However, give them a new IP. Let them work on something that they can actually spread their wings at.
Harv, I agree with you. That is something they should do. But to connect it to a tidbit that we might get into later, I'm just going to combine these if you don't mind, Frank, only because I feel like this is the pain. This is the pain here. So for a while, a BluePoint, fantastic repurpose of, goes in and takes other companies' assets and redoes them and makes fantastic ports of games, right? They've done the Uncharted collection for the PS4. They've done Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2. They've done, Shadow of Colossus. They've done, of course, the Demon Souls game from PS5. Everyone and their mother was hearing about these rumors of a new Metal Gear Solid remake. And everyone kind of was connecting the dot that it was going to be BluePoint for majority of it.
They with one little Twitter post, teased a bunch of things, and one of them being Metal Gear. And
with the fact that, yes, the news not that long ago was that Konami was looking to do another Metal Gear, things were lining up where we're thinking that it was BluePoint. And BluePoint, in my opinion, did an excellent job on Demon Souls and also the Uncharted collection and all that jazz. So I was like, yeah, freaking really exciting. But then a tidbit, which of course there was a article that happened yesterday, which blew my mind. Actually, did you move it? Oh, you moved it.
I removed it because you said we were going to reuse it. It was Konami's looking to revive
so basically
premium games like Division.
Yes, their premium division, which means that they are looking to revive those games. And right now, the rumor, or at least the news, is they're looking to do Snake Eater with a specific company, which is removing fact that it's not the first game. So that's why I'm like, because I wanted a remake of the first game because it's the only one that I haven't really played yet. And that sadly is now a dream that has died. However, Snake Eater, fantastic. Apparently that might happen.
The idea with Snake Eater is that you kind of already have the formula there with the pachinko machines. You have cutscenes already pre-rendered and kind of done already with that. I believe the cutscenes are done in the Fox engine. Don't quote me on that. But you already have a lot of those cutscenes done, so you can technically go back and just redo a lot of those cutscenes with a lot of those models you currently have, and the game will still look amazing. Couple that with they still have the Fox engine from when 5 was released, and that engine, I mean, you've played MGS5 recently. That engine looks fucking great still.
Yeah, it does look great. Definitely, as mechanic wise, it feels like it does endless possibility of things. So to take any of their original IP and redo it in any way, it'd be wonderful for them to see what they could do with it, especially since it's only been really used for 2 games, right? It's been Metal Gear Solid 5 and Survive. That's it.
Survive, I think Fox Engine was used for PT, but again, don't quote me on that.
Fair enough.
I could be wrong on the PT part.
Yeah, fake game.
Konami owns Metal Gear, right?
Yes.
They own every series. I love Harv.
Yeah.
And now BluePoint gets acquired.
Single one.
Yeah.
BluePoint acquires PlayStation. Wouldn't this put the rumors to bed now at this point?
That's what this does.
They could be working on something else within Konami's division. They could be working on Castlevania. They could be working on a Silent Hill game. We don't really know because, again, they say original game, but they don't specify that it is a new IP.
But the thing is, they have to get Konami's thing on this, though.
Yeah, but that's what somewhat the other report is saying, is that they're looking to finally reach out to some other companies to facilitate their ideas. They sound like they're hesitant at first. And again, this could not be the end of my dreams, but I definitely don't think it's what I wanted, which was a Metal Gear Solid the first one remastered. It's like a Twin Snakes or whatever. No, apparently people are very upset about that. But at the least this will be something. And if it's a totally different Castlevania game, sure, cool. Or if it's anything else that's awesome over there, sure. But
yeah, because they own all those series I love, like Silent Hill, love it. Castlevania, I love Castlevania. Metal Gear, I have Snake right here next to me at all times.
At all
You know
times.
what I mean? Like I love all those series to death, and it makes me very, very sad that Konami, since Metal Gear Solid 5, has just kind of left those series to die, and nothing's really kind of been done with them. And I feel like the boom with Castlevania being so goddamn popular on Netflix has kind of lit a fire up in their ass, and just like, look, people really do love this series, and even if it's even if it's a anime, we're willing to watch that and bring viewership to that. So there's fans out there for these series. Given I don't like what Konami did to Kojima and his studio and all those people that work there, the way they were treated and stuff like that, I vowed to never buy a Metal Gear game from them after that. I didn't buy Survive for that exact reason. But if it's a remaster, I can kind of maybe be flexible, because I'm down bad for Metal Gear, man. I need some Metal Gear in my life. I mean, I play these games every year, and I'm, we're going on like playthrough 20 on some of these games. I really need some like new ammunition here at this point.
Yeah,
Please just give us a morsel of new content.
something.
Something.
Especially since we were so like, we were given a feast with the Fox engine, because if you not touch, and I know Harv has not touched a Metal Gear game, but there's just endless possibilities of things that you can apparently do in this goddamn game. And I definitely want to see that it brought up to next gen standards, brought up to, adding that to the original game, which the original game has a lot of stuff in it. Freaking crazy. Like, for instance, all right, Snake Eater, for instance, right? You get bit by a snake, you get poison, right? Poison affects your stamina. Well, you know what you can do? You can press start on the menu and just spin your character around in the menu and press start. He starts puking. He gets rid of the poison. That's how smart this fucking game is. Like, so ridiculous. But yeah, I just want to see this happen for the next generation, and I was hoping that BluePoint would take me on that way. But if it's not BluePoint, hopefully it's this Virtuous group, which is funny because if I'm not mistaken, the first mission in Snake Eater is the Virtuous mission. So it just sort of ties together. So we'll see. But definitely is a bummer for me personally. Just a little bit of a bummer.
Yeah. And I have one more question for you guys before we move on to the next article. Sony and Microsoft are obviously eating up these studios. Absolutely eating up these studios left and right. But I once again have to ask, with all these acquisitions, do we think we'll really start seeing the fruits of these purchases soon, or are we still way ahead out? Because
I think it really depends on where these companies are in the production cycle when they're getting acquired. Like, I'm sure there's some companies that they're like, hey, like, we're in the middle of working on this game or whatever, and whoever buys them is like, okay, sure, whatever, we'll find that, like, keep doing that, and then we'll pass you off to something else when you finish. I'm sure that's not the case for most or all of them, but I'm saying there's a couple probably in there, you know, statistically. So we maybe in like 1 or 2 years, possibly, but I don't expect the majority of these acquisitions to have anything to show for at least a couple of years. Minimum.
I feel like I have obviously the trajectory, and I think having both Horizon and God of War be delayed into 2023 has definitely given them, or 2022, I'm sorry, has given them. I don't time travel because we're so close to the end of this year that I'm just already time traveling to that year, that they're giving them another buffer to take their time, especially with these newer acquisitions from the PlayStation side. Xbox, I'm a little bit curious because after Halo,
they haven't showed much.
They have showed some things, but I don't know how soon that they're done. Like, for instance, we could talk about the Fable game. We could talk about Outer Worlds 2, right? I said that.
Which is far out still.
Is that far out? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what is their other game that they have that's the medieval one?
I think you got the name right. Forspoken or like Awoken. No. I think it was
Awoken, something like that. Like
Avowed.
Avowed. Yes. Like, where is that? And then they already, like you said, we already announced Outer Worlds. So like, where are those games specifically? I mean, Bethesda, they have.
Scroll 6 has been announced for a while. No.
Oh, we're gonna get their Starfield, right?
Starfield.
That's gonna be a
Finally
big
get
title.
something.
That's a big title right there that has been cooking. So, and Redfall is another thing in the future. They have that game that I don't remember, but it looks like it's a caper in South America. You know what I'm talking about? There's a
Jones game.
There's that.
Oh yeah, the
Or Avalanche
multiplayer
Games
one. The multiplayer
There's that multiplayer
one.
that's
Yeah.
that's not Redfall. That's something else. That's the vampire one.
Yeah.
So Bethesda, I think, has definitely set them up to like have placement.
Yeah, to
but,
have some like presence in all these acquisitions to have something to show.
Yeah,
But,
the more
like,
I talk, go ahead.
Like we have this issue right now, even with Sony with their recent conference, where we'll make a joke of like Insomniac seems like they're kind of carrying this pretty hard. And
Their first year, yeah.
It was in the scope of things, it was a great showcase for Sony, but in like the amount of acquisitions they were making, still to at least to me felt kind of short, because it was like, okay, but you're showing me maybe like 5 studios right now. Like, what happened to like the 10 that you just bought?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like,
Are you talking about PlayStation?
they have to. Yeah, they had no. Sony's been buying up studios left and right.
They've bought
I mean,
3
they
in
got
the
about-
last 2 years.
They bought the PC studio, the PC remaster studio. They bought BluePoint now. They have Insomniac.
Yeah,
that
who
they
else?
officially
Who
bought.
else have they bought?
I'm trying to remember all the things, because if you remember, they have that little infograph at the end of like that conference that shows all the studios still in progress,
Yeah.
kind of working. And
Yeah,
there's
but
a
they didn't
shit
buy.
ton of
Yeah,
them.
but they didn't buy those this year. Those guys are just probably just working on stuff.
If I had to guess though, Frank, like for instance, Naughty Dog, you got to have something, I assume, at this point, at least multiplayer wise. Maybe that's your thing that you pull out, or announce Uncharted, whatever, because we've constantly hear stories of Uncharted game or remaster of Last of Us. Like that's got to be somewhere they're cooking. The people that did Days Gone probably have something that is coming out eventually. There's they're gonna have another baseball game that's gonna happen next year as well. Then there's the little studios too. Like, well, what's going on with this Conquer Genie people? Conquer Genie people are the ones that I think are the ones that got bought.
Yeah, because I'm looking at like right here, like at least at their acquisitions from, let's say 2019, from when they did Naughty Dog.
Yeah,
we have Housemark.
Housemark was another
Nixies,
one. Yes,
Fabric Games, BluePoint. They're also the big anime acquisition too as well, where they had Crunchyroll and all that and stuff like that. They also
this is nothing
have,
compared to like what Xbox has done. This is nothing compared to that.
Well, they've
because
Housemark
just released their game, right? So they're not going to be doing anything for a while now, probably
for
next 4 years.
No, for sure. But there are other studios that like the ones I just mentioned. I think they're still leading up to that.
Yeah, I wish I could find the infograph that showed at the end of that. It would have just showed like all the studios that still have works in progress and stuff like that. They have a ton of them in progress, but they really don't have much to show, because all we're seeing really right now is Insomniac, and we're probably going to see Naughty Dog soon.
Yeah,
and within a whole year. That's crazy to me, because maybe we were eating good before, but it's much different how we used to see like stuff happen at like E3 or something like that, where we'll see like a bunch of studios have announcements, whereas this year we've only got like maybe 4. That's about it.
Yeah, I'm very curious. I'm hoping that they do take that extra buffer of those 2 games and whatever else they announce, and take time to show us at E3. That's really it.
Yeah, if E3 is even still seen as E3 at this point.
We'll see. I gotta be right back.
How was this year?
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna move on to the next article here. The next article comes from Kotaku's Jeremy Winslow. The next Spider-Man game will be darker, like Empire Strikes Back. So, guys, during a episode of the podcast This Week in Marvel's creative vice president Bill Roseman discussed the sequel to Insomniac's Spider-Man and described it as being darker, akin to Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. I know we have 2 people in here.
I have thoughts.
We have 2 people in here who like Spider-Man very much. I believe we've all played through this game a ton of times. I got the platinum in it. Mario's got the platinum in it. Sly's got the platinum in it. We all we played the shit.
So Spider-Man 1, I platinumed, played through all the DLC, New Game Plus, and then I wanted to play it again, so I played it again. And I've played Miles Morales at least 3 or 4 times. I love these games. Like, these are like my comfort games.
They're just fun to just
Anytime
swing
I'm like,
around it.
yeah, anytime I'm not feeling great, like I don't know what I want to play, I'll just jump into Miles Morales, swing around, hang out with fucking the characters. Like, I love these games, and I'm excited to see a bit of a darker tone with Peter, and I really hope it's not with Miles. And like, I just like I would love to see like a dark arc with Peter. Like, I think that would be really interesting. It'd be really interesting to see, like, with his character, with everything that's going on in his world. I really, really don't want that from Miles. Like, I want Miles to just be the hero.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I want for him.
I wrote in the notes here that Spider-Man 1 actually, like, the first game for a Spider-Man game tells a pretty decently mature story for the whole thing. Like, it does feel like it doesn't really handhold you. It doesn't really like let go of any punches. We already know how that game ends and how much balls Insomniac has when it comes to characters and how they develop these characters and stuff like that. Which is why I'm curious on how darker we can kind of get, because Spider-Man in the comics, if you've ever read a Spider-Man comic, they get pretty dark. Things never really go well for Peter and like any of his different timelines or versions or anything like that. Peter always kind of gets the shaft of things. But the beauty of that always is that Peter finds a way to overcome it because he just has an unbreakable will. He's one of the most willful characters in the Marvel comic universe, which is why he's so formidable to everybody who fights him, because he just doesn't give up, even in the face of just like some of the worst things that could happen to a superhero. And we've seen it through comics. We've seen it through like for example, Aunt May dying by the Kingpin, how Peter would react to that and stuff like that. So I'm curious on how they would weave the story in, at least with the symbiotes. And I also put in here, it might not be the Peter getting the symbiote. It might be Miles. I mean, we haven't really seen a Miles story with a symbiote. Yeah, like in this type of media, I mean.
Just really quick. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, especially with, I'm trying to be vague. I don't know who hasn't played Spider-Man at this point, but like with the storyline, especially, I will be very vague. The storyline around Henry, I can see that getting real dark real quick in the second, and I can definitely see how they're gonna take on that tone. Whether they do what I'm picturing, who knows? But I can definitely see tone-wise, especially. I just like Miles' story is, inherently like pretty dark. Like, there's a lot going on there, and I appreciate that. I love how they handle it. I really want him to just be the hero. Like, he's a kid. Like, he's in high school. He's going through shit.
As much as that sounds great, that what I love about these comics is that they do show that there is two sides to being a hero. You know what I mean? A lot of the times the heroes make the sacrifice to be a hero, and their personal life gets affected because of it. You know what I mean? They have to push people away because they have to protect them, stuff like that. That's the darker sides of those characters. And while Miles Morales, like the game Miles Morales, definitely conveys that 100%, is that there are sacrifices these heroes have to make, and 9 times out of 10, they're not really as happy as they convey to the general public.
I personally, when it comes to these dark arcs or it's a darker story, I don't think that necessarily has to mean someone has to die or someone has to be violence in any major way. Dark stories can just be about on a personal level between two people going through a problem, and I think that includes Peter and this mentorship with Miles. So again, it's depending on how they approach this, because we already know it's a little different than for what we already know. Someone else has a symbiote, not necessarily the character that traditionally does in this universe. And so when that transfer happens, if it does happen to one of our main characters, depending on who they do, I'm very curious to see how that would work. And I honestly am curious about how, if Peter Parker is one helping Miles having to go through this struggle and having to deal with this darkness and having to feel with the pain about, I believe he losing his father or something like that. And,
or not being good enough.
Or not being good enough.
The whole point of the symbiote is that it makes you stronger, and it makes you very, very, very insatiable to power. You want more. You want to get stronger. You want to keep going, and you don't really care who you're hurting in the way in that lust for, just being so powerful. And Peter has obviously had to have, gone through something like that, which is why I'm thinking Miles is the perfect choice for this, because Peter this is an older Peter Parker. He's gone through a lot of the stuff that, like, during the symbiote phase of his comic books would make more sense in the past than it does now. Whereas Miles still is still a new Spider-Man. He's going to make mistakes here and there. And, maybe having a symbiote give him that power that doesn't make it so that he doesn't make mistakes as often will become kind of the fruit. You know what I mean? The fruit that, like, Adam and Eve and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's the forbidden fruit, and that's what the symbiote kind of always kind of
for y'all, though.
Yes,
there's a lot going on already in this game, and we don't know much.
There is,
but
right.
There's a lot going on. Are we ever gonna see Spider-Gwen?
No, not in this series. I don't think we're gonna be seeing that here. Maybe down the road, if they ever do into the Spider-Verse type of deal. I do hope if they do that, do it in the sense of, like, I don't know. It's weird. The reason why Spider-Gwen kind of works in the comic, and I love how when she shows up, it's because Peter's already lost a Gwen in his time, right? So when he meets her, they have, like, a very unique interaction.
And as far as we know, that has not happened in this world.
Yes, that's what I mean. That's what I was about to say. Like, we don't know the status of Gwen Stacy within this universe. I don't think where the current arc is right now, it makes sense to introduce Gwen Stacy, especially how MJ and Peter are at the current moment. I don't know. Yeah, it's something that's definitely a long thing down the road. With the popularity of those characters, I don't doubt Sony will probably be like, "Hey, let's make a Spider-Verse type game on its own that doesn't universe or something like that." But
yeah.
we'll see.
I have a question for the two people that have not played these games or have played some of the games. Do you have generally any interest in this, or is it simply just because of the way that you don't have a system at the moment to play it? Like, do you have any interest in the story of Spider-Man, the video game?
I do, because I played Spider-Man 1. I really, really enjoyed it. That was one of my top games of that year, because I like the story. I like the original story that they're telling. I like that when we got Peter Parker, he was already like 3 years into him becoming Spider-Man, so he knows the city, he knows what he already has that. I'm so happy that he already had that relationship with the police, and he had, like, all these things going for him. And then now seeing Miles cause I haven't played Miles Morales yet, so I haven't delved into it. Yeah, I haven't delved into that yet. I'm gonna play it off stream at some point. But I'm excited to see how they differ in like viewpoints as a person that's coming in for the fresh of how he sees the city, and then how Peter Parker sees the city, and how he's more he's doesn't put that much pressure on himself. This, like, Miles Morales puts a lot of pressure on himself of trying to be as good as, like, the actual Spider-Man, and how Venom or the symbiote comes into play. Because I like the idea that Frank is putting out, where it puts Miles in, like, the driver's seat, because that is a person that wants to live up to something. He has a bar and he wants to try to go over that bar.
Yeah, and that symbiote will mess with your mind and
Yeah.
make you think that that's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, and them
Is living
saying
up to something.
saying that they got a darker story, I'm happy about that. I'm glad that it's going to be a tonal difference, because I feel like this is going to be a trilogy, which is going to be great. If it is. So if they're going to do a Spider-Man 3, kind of tie it all together.
Yeah, you can't call this game the fucking Empire Strikes Back without them like having a third fucking game.
Yeah, you got to have
this is
the
gonna be a
return. You got to have the
cliffhanger.
return of the Jedi moment. You got to have
Yeah.
that. So that I'm really excited for it, and they've already confirmed it's a single player game. I'm so happy about that. Let's go. I am so excited for this game.
I wouldn't mind, actually. This is the one game that I wouldn't mind just having a co-op mode where you could just like swing around in the city. It doesn't have to be like you play the story with them. Like just hang out with somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or like
I usually
Doom
say
challenges.
I don't like those type of games, but like Spider-Man, I think would be a cool one.
I wish you do side missions and not the main story, right? You just go do the punching missions and just beat the shit out of each
Like
other.
that
get
little
scores.
area is getting like like when you have to do the cleanup for the platinum trophy, like that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Add a Juliana element where somebody can come in as a random member of the Sinister Six and start fucking with the city.
That would be fucking awesome.
That would be cool.
Play.
That would be really cool.
That would be cool. Just somebody comes in as like Doc Ock for just starts a crime
Dude,
somewhere and you have to
I just
fight.
fucking come out of nowhere and stab you as Scorpion, and you get a fucking.
Oh man, kind of like a
It's like I'm
is it?
Rhino.
what's that dude's name from Yakuza?
Oh, Majima.
Majima everywhere kind of system, but for Spider-Man.
Majima. Oh my god.
Love Majima. Oh boy.
My other question for y'all. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, V, for sure.
I don't know if you want me to continue.
Oh, you say talk your shit.
Said something.
I don't think I'm interested in playing these games. It's
That's
just
fine.
it doesn't really interest me. Honestly, like I love the MCU. Like I'm a huge fan of the movies. And when I did read the comics, like I used to like every week used to buy comics with my roommates. I've never really felt the draw or need to play this video game series. Like I know everyone loves it. Like by all means, like I'm so happy for you guys, but like I've never been like, man, I really want to play Spider-Man or I really want to play Miles Morales. Like it does not brought any sort of interest to me.
This motherfucker just dab on us?
Yeah.
When I sneeze, I dab.
Just fucking dab on me?
I can definitely, if this was any other Spider-Man game that we've had over the years, like Web of Shadows, Dark
all those
fucking
games fucking
Dimension.
I'll be on the record right now. The other games, the smaller ones like Web of Shadows and stuff like that, were because they weren't like an open world shit fest. But
No,
everything else
totally.
sucks.
No, absolutely. But I just meant like they are contained really pretty much in their own game, and they're just sort of generic Spider-Man games for the most part. This was at the very least exciting because it was a mature, like we were saying, it's a mature story in terms of telling a narrative, like taking care of characters and what happens to them. And, I thought that's what made the game special. And then that's why we look forward to a sequel, because it's going to have thematic elements that are tied to the first game, very much in the way that Sony has been doing with Uncharted, Last of Us, God of War now. Like there's definitely things where it's like your love and attention is being carried over into the next game. And I think that's what's special about this one.
Mhm.
Other than the other ones, like other than just, swing around, I fight things. At the very least, it rewards you by, telling you at least a fun story, minus the fucking Mary Jane parts, which suck.
Oh yeah, they weren't great.
I loved.
Oh, they're bad.
I like the MJ parts, but I like stealth. So that's just
I
me.
really enjoyed the.
Oh,
Yeah,
hit the
I
bucket
really
and then
enjoyed
fucking he
stealth.
looks
I
that
really
way.
enjoy-
No.
I really enjoy MJ's story. I love how I think the biggest thing about these games for me is the gameplay in Miles Morales is excellent.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, it's not as great after you've played Miles Morales, but they take such care of these characters and develop them so well in a way that feels so genuine and real. And like one of the things is like we don't really get to see positive portrayals of, we're getting more now, but we don't get often stories told with care about disability in video games. And both of these stories include really careful, really developed stories with characters with disabilities, which is something, you know, so close to my heart. But like, I feel like if this game isn't really calling to you, watch the cutscenes. Like it could be a movie. Like the storyline
watch the cutscenes.
is
Or just like
just
One thing,
trust
superhero
it.
games aren't for everybody.
One
It's
thing-
just a fact.
one thing
True,
that I
true,
really,
true.
one
Absolutely.
thing I really liked about this game was like, it is a sandbox where it is not big. It's not a big game. It's
Mhm.
for
It's very limited.
It's very limited, which is
Yeah.
good for this game because the swinging mechanic is amazing. It feels really, really good, and I feel like I never got sick of it, and as many hours as I put into the game because I got the platinum
Yeah.
trophy for it. But I'm glad that we have a little subsection of New York and not all of New York because I don't want like a Witcher style game for this. This is good with what
It's
it what
we
it
got an
had.
approximation of Harlem here. We have
Yeah.
an approximation of
It's definitely gonna be
Manhattan
bigger,
here.
It will,
Like, I got a feeling this new one's gonna open it up a little bit more.
or we just
I
go
feel
to
like
a whole different place in New York and just leave the other places or something like that. Maybe I don't know.
What's up, Fee?
I don't know. I was gonna say it probably makes sense to include more of it. Overall, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, how do you feel about superhero games in general? Like,
I honestly, no.
yep, and that's
I'm-
100%
There
probably
you
the
go.
reason why you won't play Spider-Man.
I'm
There
not
you go.
I like even I remember there was a when I was playing WoW, there was a superhero MMORPG that everyone's just
City
like,
of
"Oh my-"
Heroes.
Yeah,
City
City
of
Heroes.
DC Universe Online.
Matrix
No,
Online.
I was like I'm definitely more of like a fantasy person. Like The
Sure.
Witcher definitely interests me. Like I do like sometimes I like the smaller, like the sandbox, like very condensed, like by all means, but I'd rather play something a little bit more fantasy based, then it's sci-fi, then it's anything else, and then probably superhero games at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just it just has no interest. And also the swinging like mechanic for me as someone who gets motion sick playing video games
I could see that.
looks
Yeah.
like
Okay.
my literal nightmare. Like I think about it and
Sure.
I'm like I would be more than happy to sit down and like watch someone play it. And I think I have. I think I watched Barrett play a little bit one night. I just had him
Mhm.
on the background and because he seemed to be having a lot of fun playing Miles Morales. And I'm like, okay, this is really cool.
I
But
want to play it again. I gotta go download it today.
but yeah, it's just
Oh, yeah.
like and I'm
Like,
happy that
can I put my console somewhere?
yeah, I'm happy that we do have that kind of range of like someone who just has no interest in it to someone who plays it as a comfort game. So it has that kind of range. But yeah, no, I don't think that.
Played it so many times.
Yeah, and that's understandable. I mean, if you don't really have that connection to the characters, these games can be kind of a chore.
Yeah.
It's just
Also,
that
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
not gonna
for sure.
lie,
Catch the pigeons.
the Spider-Man like entire arc, like that entire section of like the MCU is just doesn't interest me. Like if they were like
enough.
they came out and they're like, "Hey, we're bringing a Deadpool video game," you best believe I'm playing a Deadpool
They
game and
did.
ripping people's.
they
well-
did. It's really good too, actually.
But I would mean like if they brought one in like
Yeah.
a newer version of it or like a new game.
How
But
about
yeah,
Wolverine? Does Wolverine interest you at all?
I would be more likely to play Wolverine
Okay.
than I
Like a
would
hack
be
and
with
slash.
Spider-Man. Yeah, Wolverine's
Okay.
storyline itself it interests me more than Spider-Man. Like even when I watched the original Spider-Man in movie theaters back in the early 2000s, like I was just like, this is really cool. It's a cool experience, but it's just
I see how it is.
there's no
I-
connection.
I get it. I get
get
it.
your
I
point.
mean, Logan being a Canadian, I can see why there's
Also,
some loyalty
Deadpool's
there.
Canadian.
wasn't even connecting that. That's
Deadpool's
hilarious.
Canadian as well. See, I can see. I see what's going on
Have you
here.
ever heard of Alpha Flight?
Oh my god! All right, we're moving on.
Have you-
Thank
Oh my
you so
gosh,
much,
yes,
Faith.
I have actually.
Have you heard this
I
place
just-
called Canada
I just
before?
learned about Alpha Flight.
Anyway, we have learned that Fee only Canadian superheroes. And,
I have,
whoa,
I have
whoa, whoa.
one last point though before we move on.
No, I was just gonna say, can Frank please fill in the blanks before because he went blank when it was this like Fee blanks superheroes, and I'm just like,
I said Fee stands Canadian superheroes.
okay, thank you,
There you go.
thank you.
I will
Oh,
say,
good
Fee,
post.
if
Fuck.
you don't care about the story of Miles Morales at all, and you don't you're not gonna play through it, just look up all of the cutscenes with Haley. just for me,
They're cute.
because
Yeah.
I love Haley. Her story's so cute. Like, I will be real. The amount of times I've played Miles Morales, a majority of them have just been to hang out with Haley and do her story mission. Because I just absolutely adore her. She's so cute. She's done so well. So yeah, just watch Haley's cutscenes for me.
Okay. So we're moving on from the capes, if you will, and we're just gonna do a quick few tidbits here. One of them is actually got used earlier, so we're not gonna use that one.
Okay.
But really quick from Kotaku's Renata Price. My bad. I don't know why I read that weirdly. Amazon's New World MMO won't let you name yourself Jeff Bezos.
It's true. And variations of Bezos
Good
too.
for them.
Yeah.
And I think you can't name your character Amazon either. I think as well.
Can I name myself CEO entrepreneur?
Yeah.
And then just like, and then just run around
Bezos.
saying Jeffrey Bezos. Can I just run around the game saying that as my name is CEO entrepreneur?
Can I be Beth Bezos, please? Yeah, that's dumb. I think one of the funniest things about Final Fantasy is finding these joke characters.
Yeah,
Just
and then
around the world.
them like dressed up that joke
Yeah,
character too.
Like Dominic Toretto or like Alphanode Leviswole or some shit.
Yeah.
Like, those
There's,
characters
like-
are fun.
There's like a guy who randomly, like every so often, I'll see in like Ulda or in Kagane who specifically looks like the Hulk. He's just a guy who just, and he doesn't say anything.
I showed
he
it
just
to
stands there.
I showed it to Mario. I showed him to Mario earlier. He was actually just chilling in by that witch's place.
Yeah,
Ye
he just
Schultz's
vibes.
place. Yeah.
Doesn't say anything, just
chilling.
vibe.
On that note, free the Jeff Bezos name from New World. Okay, let Jeff Bezos thrive. IGN's Adele Anchors reports that Friday the 13th screenwriter set to reclaim the domestic rights to the franchise. This
Nice.
is potentially big. I don't see. My problem is I don't know what the fight with Ilphonic and everything like that was about. If it was like who gets the rights, or if the rights were in any kind of thing. I don't know if this means we'll see maybe some Friday the 13th show up in other media like video games again. Possibly Dead by Daylight.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah. I don't know the screenwriter's stance on all this, because I remember there was somebody within this whole like legal battle for years, and he does not want Friday the 13th to be part of it, like at all. Period. He just wants Friday the 13th to kind of just die at that point, just move on. I don't know if that was. I don't know if this is that screenwriter. And then again, I don't even know if what I just said is 100% because it's been years. I remember looking this up when Ilphonic put out their Friday the 13th game.
It looks like Victor Miller filed a lawsuit against producer Sean S. Cunningham, so the person who produced the film and directed the first film. But otherwise, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look like I've seen anything here about them not doing that, but even so, give me more movies.
But I'm glad the rights have gone to somebody finally. It's been a legal battle for years. It's the end of that legal battle, and hopefully we'll see more Jason in the future. Because we haven't seen Jason in a very, very long time, other than the Ilphonic game.
By the way, Screen Rant is spoiled Telasa for me. You're dead to me, Screen Rant.
Oh my god. God damn it, Screen Rant.
Oh,
on
fair
that note, good for Friday the 13th. Jason will return, hopefully. Our next article is Polygon. It comes from Polygon's Ryan Gilliam. Kratos actor says God of War Ragnarok was delayed due to his health. I know a bunch of us here might want to talk about this.
Good for them.
Somebody take the floor. I know.
Yeah, I'll pull it up because it happened on Twitter. Basically, I believe he won an award for fan favorites as the new God of War.
Christopher Judge.
Christopher Judge, who wonderful human being by all standards. He's a fantastic voice actor and actor on Stargate SG-1. He is currently Black Panther on the Fantastic Avengers game. But to be serious, he said that he got in his feels last night because of all the love and support, and he said that this was not approved. What he was about to say was not approved by Sony for him to say it, but he said the real reason that the game was delayed was because he was having health issues. He was getting surgery, I believe, on his back and some other issues. And he got really sad about that he felt that he was letting people down for having to deal with that. And honestly, no, I think it's wonderful that we did not know about this at all from Sony or anyone saying this. Go ahead.
I think one of the biggest things to note is that they said, take care of yourself. We'll push it. No big deal. I think it's also awesome that they didn't say anything about it. They just said, we're going to push it. We're not going to say anything about it. And I love that, I mean, he got to have agency with whether or not he disclosed that. And, you know, he chose to, which is a nice insight for fans who are looking forward to it, to hopefully be a little bit more considerate when talking about delays. Because, you know, this is a great example to point to. We don't always know why a game gets delayed. And this is something to keep in mind. It could be, you know, a health complication. And just to be mindful about how we talk about delays for sure. And I just love that it was not from the company at all. It was totally up to him. He had complete agency over how much he disclosed. And I think this is a really great example for how to handle this situation.
Yeah. Robert Hywen says in the chat, classy move by Sony. Reminds me of the John Huber, Brody Lee situation with AEW. Nobody knew he was sick.
Yeah.
Mario probably would know more about that than I would.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah. Just he was off TV. No one said a thing. He got to quietly pass away with amongst his family and friends. And then they eventually, of course, had to reveal the news. And it was just wonderful about the company that no one was aware of the situation. Wasn't brought. It wasn't like a tabloid thing. It was. No, they got to have their peace with their father and the husband, and he passed away. And you know, then they let everyone else know. So yeah, that was definitely another situation that was wonderfully taken care of. And this is another one. I think Corey Barlog, you know, said, you know, in the chat, like, you know, he was there for him and all that. And it's honestly probably one of the most beautiful things in gaming. And this is like you said, Sly, and I'm going to iterate it again. This is definitely something that we need to start considering when we talk about delays affecting human lives, because these are, even though these are products and content of things that we love, they're made by real people. And so when it comes to teams crunching, dealing with the pandemic, health related issues with like serious surgeries, this is all things that, you know, all we have to take into account when we hear these delays. I'm sure that when we saw the PlayStation announcement of the Ragnarok like logo with the year, we were like, oh my god, it's coming next year, I can't wait. Reality it sets in, things happen, and they took the best course, because his performance is a motion capture. He's doing his performance with his body and with his face and his voice, of course. So it's definitely important. And I think that the product will be good for it.
Yeah, without him, you don't really have Kratos now. You know what I mean? And he's like, his health is just as important as anything else in that game. I'd rather wait for a game an extra year and make sure that the guy who is the embodiment of Kratos right now is able to live a lot longer than having the game out a year before and then him having to suffer health wise because of it, and us not being able to have, you know, his talent for years and years to come.
God forbid to walk again.
Yeah, exactly. Like at some point we do need to separate the medium of video game and real life and realize that there are real people behind that the veil of, you know, fantasy that we partake in every
day. It'd be
day.
Developers, it'd be voice actors, it'd be directors, whoever is working on these games. They're all people at the end of the day.
Anybody else have anything to say about this before we move on? Fee?
Nothing too out of the range of what everyone else has said. Just because it's really good to see that, not like everyone has mentioned as well, that he was able to announce it. It wasn't like putting any strain on the actor himself. And I do hope that he has a speedy recovery. But it's just good to see that they took that into consideration and that they weren't pushing him, because there's so many times where we've seen actors either get hurt because of the pushes and the strain that the job includes, or it may have taken a massive toll on not just physical but mental health. So it's good to see that they took that into consideration when they decided to delay it. Honestly, I would rather them delay it because of that, or even if there's issues with the game itself, and we've talked about it at great lengths about needing to take time to extend or like take some extra time to perfect the game. But I think in this case, this was the only option. And I'm saying only option because any other option is inexcusable at that point. If your main person, especially the God of War himself, isn't doing well, and even if it was like a side character, I would still think that I hope they take the same consideration when they were either casting or when it came to the actual roles and the strenuous time that it takes, because this isn't an easy job. I know some people think that they just sit in a studio and that they're sitting in their fluffy pajamas and voice acting, but that's definitely not the case. And even if they were doing that, they're still actors. So I'm happy to see that we've seen situations like this before, and it didn't come out as friendly or as positive. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, shout out to Santa Monica Studios for having the fucking balls to delay one of the biggest games, AAA games of our generation, to make sure that the people they're employing are living healthy lives.
Yeah.
100%. And then not just going, oh well, you're sick, let's recast you. Ubisoft, Splinter Cell. Sorry.
Something in the throat.
Something in the throat. But yeah, on that note, we're gonna move on to our last article, and this comes from Kotaku's CC Zhang. Sega drops series Monkey Ball producer who claims discrimination. I don't know too much about this. Sly, you posted this in the thing. Could you elaborate what's going on here?
Yeah, so basically, when they announced the new Super Monkey Ball game, it was E3, I believe.
Something like that.
Yeah. The announcer for the games, I believe, teased involvement in a way that people are claiming violated an NDA. And because of that, it seems like his involvement has been removed from the game entirely. And so he's claiming that their removal of him is discriminating. It's an interesting read. Definitely check out the article. I don't know whose side I am on at all in this. I just thought it was really interesting read and people should check it out, especially because I talk about how much I love Super Monkey Ball all the time.
No, for sure.
So
the thing that I gathered, and he's the
game coming
original.
up.
He's the original voice, if I'm not mistaken, for the first two games.
Yeah.
The thing that I did come across, obviously, they said that a lot of Japanese studios tend to be sort of discriminatory towards non-Japanese speakers, or if that are basically foreign.
Thank you. I forgot to include that. Yeah. So he's a foreign voice actor. It's a Japanese studio. The claim is that if he was a Japanese voice actor, they wouldn't have responded in the way they did.
Yes. And then in their side very much is saying that, well, you talked about the game before we announced it or before this, therefore, we canned you because of that. And if that is the case, I mean that's their right, to be totally honest. If he's talked way too early on it, and they were trying to hold this reveal, which it's just super fucking Monkey Ball at the end of the day.
I was about to say it's Super Monkey Ball.
From my
understanding, it's not that big of a reveal.
I just want to clarify, from my understanding, it's not that he released information about the game, it's that he released information about his involvement.
Yes.
After
it was I'm in it.
And that was what was violating it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So, like Robert, NDAs are no joke. Gotta keep those.
NDAs.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do believe that to be the case in terms of their hierarchy of how they treat certain voice actors.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to figure out what's really going on behind those scenes, Speed, do you know anything about that like discrimination happening with foreign voice actors or anything like that, or like anime or like? Because I know you got more of a plug to the more Japanese side of things.
Well, it is very difficult, and to kind of add on to just like, yeah, voice acting is a completely different level when it comes to Japanese voice acting. I'm not saying that the actor himself, it's not just like, oh, I want to be a voice actor. It is, you take a 4-year university, like there's a like courses that you specifically take. There's like a lot of things, and so it's, when it comes to things like that and trying to get into the genre, it's a difficult task. It's not easy. And by once again, I would like to say I'm not specifically discriminating on anyone who has like come up in voice acting here or in the West because they have a microphone and they were able to get into it. That's definitely not the case.
The only people that I'm discreting is the TikTokers. All right, you're not professional. Stop it.
Whoa!
Damn,
Some
whoa,
of
what
those
the
TikTokers are really good.
I'm not here to start
What
fights
about
with
the Brim
TikTokers.
guy?
The
Oh
brim,
my
dude, the
God.
brim guy,
I don't care if you
Yeah.
can say Baka in a certain way. Okay,
the
Here,
brim
we get
guy.
it.
He just
you
wants
kind of smell.
the guy just wants to get brimmed. Okay, that's all he wants to be done.
Yeah,
That's all.
brim me.
Yeah. He knows who I'm talking about too.
Yes, I 100% know what you're talking about. This took quite a turn, but no, I think it's definitely an interesting topic. I don't want to like I can't sit here and specifically say like I know everything about this or
Yeah,
like
it's one of
but-
those things we can't really know for sure until we see somebody really kind of whistle blow it pretty hard. Because we don't know what happens in these boardrooms. We don't know how these actors are treated or what they really kind of talk about on the outside of being treated. And with
Yeah.
something like this, it's kind of hard because like it's very possible that this is a case of discrimination, but also you also broke an NDA, and those are no joke. It might be a joke like to some companies, but you know, if this company wants to pursue legal action or fire somebody or anything like that due to a breach of NDA, unfortunately, dude, you signed it. You signed the NDA, and the NDA says that they're well within their right to do something like that. You know what I mean? So you
I do
can't
like-
get mad that you played a game and got a prize.
I do like that Robert Hyland's statement here is this person would only have a case if the devs didn't fire a Japanese speaker for doing the same thing. Discrimination claim does seem a little bit of a reach. I that's why I'm sort of like on the fence on it for the very much. I'm
Yeah.
like I could absolutely see that being the case, but at the same time, I do see the fact that you talk too early on something and
Yeah.
therefore suffering the consequences. So to
Yeah.
have done one thing and claim another, it's a lot. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely
Yeah, that's where the kind of like it becomes like a point where like there may have been, and we would definitely need specifically like obviously if this does go far, we would probably see more evidence of it. However, you sign an NDA, like that is you are
Legal
violating
binding
a legal binding contract. Which is a very serious offense, and I know all of us here specifically understand.
I think everyone here has signed an NDA at some point. Those things
Yep.
are fucking scary because they tell you dead ass in those NDAs, you breach this shit, this is what we will do to you.
sign one with 2K. That was fun.
Yeah, see, it's definitely not a like joke by any stretch. So I think more on the lines of this is a situation where something was released, even it like if we took it just as the base value of someone violated their NDA, they violated their NDA. And that's, you can't do that, like, because that can cause it doesn't affect, like, yes, it does affect the person who specifically said it out loud, but it also affects everyone who worked on it, and then everyone who's like it affects a multitude of jobs when you break an NDA. So it's a
It screws up,
difficult,
like, especially the marketing teams who are probably gearing up to like make an announcement now have to work around this new revelation.
well, now
that
that's
everybody
a
knows
bunch
is
of
going on.
information that wasn't supposed to be disclosed, and then just like a bunch of other things can add on top of it. So I
think the biggest problem is like we don't know what the NDA said. We don't know what it says about disclosing your involvement. because, you know, sometimes NDAs can be very vague about how much you can say about your involvement,
Yeah.
which can cause problems. And I think that might be a factor here. If it doesn't explicitly say you can't say anything until this specific date, it can get pretty muddy. Like what constitutes violating the NDA and what doesn't.
Yeah, which would include a lot of legal things that we don't have any information on right now. But I'm interested, like, I quite honestly, I'm very interested to see how this goes, because this would also be affecting a number of other announcements that might be coming out in the future, or just specifically agreements, because it's a very, like, there's a lot of different pieces in play, and that's why I'm sitting here struggling to try to find the way to
it's a
describe what I'm
hard
thinking.
it's a hard like situation for everybody, because we don't know what's going on. We don't know what was in that NDA. We don't know how what the behind the scenes are like and stuff like that.
I think like what Robert is also saying is like, legalized is almost as vague because it's all encompassing, right? You can be more encompassing if you're more vague about it.
Yeah,
when it comes to an NDA,
yeah, it's a weird situation, but that is the patch notes for this week. I put a little extra thing at the end there for everybody who is in the document. Have fun with the nightmares.
Just close the document.
Why? Why would you show
Christ.
this picture?
okay.
Wow. Okay. Well.
Have fun with the nightmares.
With that being said,
Yes. With that being said, this of course has been episode 27 of the Point in Progress podcast. I am also trying to end the show and do something silly at the same time. I'm going to see if this works. But again, I want to thank everybody here on the panel. This has definitely been a very spirited discussion of all the things that we encompassed today. I think that this is a great format, and I like how it transpired on us being able to talk more about the things that we love, as well as possibly be interested in maybe some of us are going to check out Sex Education or Lower Decks, or hell, even Open Worlds. New World sounded interesting. I love, like, for some reason I keep calling it Open World. I don't, because
I mean, it is an open world game.
You know, it is what it is. But of course, I want to thank everyone watching live. There's quite a few of us have been watching us constantly and checking out the numbers. Thank you so much. We're doing better than some major channels that I'm a fan of, and I'm very impressed by it. So again, thank you everybody there.
Thank you so much for everybody who's come in and listened. Appreciate it.
And of course, you can always check us out at our YouTube channel, where you're going to find the sort of video versions of this. It is now, this is the one thing that we didn't mention. We are breaking up it in 2 videos on our YouTube. It's going to be both the first part and the second part. But the other thing that we're going to also do is that for the full, if you want it both, like if you want to hear it both at the same time, it's on our audio forms. So if you want to listen to on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere that we're available, you'll be able to hear the full podcast as one long thing. So I wanted to at least clarify that, because I didn't think I said that at the very beginning. Can everyone, if possible, please tell me where they can find you on the net? I'm going to go ahead and start with Frank. Where can people find you now?
You can find me on the net at at Twitter, Kestrel1A, where I talk shit about video games. I'm going to throw this out there for the people who have been listening. If you want a copy of Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2021, DM me. First come, first serve. You get that code. Go golfing for a little bit. Get yourself a little bit of a bogey. Get yourself a little bit of a wicket. Yeah,
a wicket. A wick. That's. I think that's a cricket. I think that's cricket. Yeah.
Hell yeah, it is. Mario's got the Adonis himself, Hasanabi, in the background. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, where I just talk about video games and stuff like that. Come have a discussion. I leave my DMs open, everything open. Let's talk shit about video games and comic books and movies and stuff.
Absolutely.
And I'm still working on my Deathloop review. I haven't been feeling well this week, so I haven't really had the motivation to kind of sit down and really kind of go over my first draft. I have a better idea of how I want to do that video now, so you will be seeing that very soon. You might be seeing more shorts through Point in Progress as well, because I'm making an initiative to have shorter content to be put in here in terms of like YouTube shorts and TikToks and stuff like that. So keep an eye out for that as well.
Wonderful. Sly, where can we find you on the net?
You can find me pretty much any social media platform at CycloneMC. Please, I go follow my TikTok. I know I've been plugging this for a couple of weeks. I'm like 20 followers away from 1K. That's a goal I really want to hit. So please drop me a follow there. If there's any content you want to see TikTok wise, feel free to like shoot me a Twitter DM or whatever. I'm very open to suggestions about that. And stay tuned for like 3 things that are going to be announcing in the next month.
That's right.
That's all I can say about that.
That's right. They're very, very spicy, and I'm very excited to for everyone to see those. Yeah, that's going to be great. Harv, where can people find you on the net?
I am not. No, just kidding.
I'm
not on the net. You can find me at Beard in the Hair pretty much everywhere. Beard in the Hair Gaming on YouTube. I have a video coming up on Wednesday about New World. On my YouTube, it is just the first 40 hours of New World, pretty much, of me getting about 26 levels and see what my thoughts are on that game. But other than that, yeah, you can find me here on Point in Progress, twitch.tv/Point in Progress, youtube.com/Point in Progress. Go check out all that stuff.
Fantastic. He almost passed out right there at the keyboard.
Yeah.
And of course, Fee, where can we find you on the net?
It took you a lot to try to say.
It did.
Yeah.
It totally did.
He's like, I gotta say the owner part.
I can be found on Twitter at Zoranix. You can also find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Zoranix. I'm going to be hopping on and playing some demos later this week. And I will be coming on this weekend as well to play Tome. I apologize for the delay.
I was looking forward to that. What happened?
In progress. I just forgot what Sunday was.
The whole Sunday just gone.
I was
scheduled it, you know.
That was me.
I think Sunday Fee was making a thumbnail or something like that night, and then she came back into Discord and she's like, I can't believe it's already 2:30 in the morning. I was like, wait, were you doing that the entire time?
Yeah, I was just like, I was focusing on working on some graphics and stuff like that. Anywho, so that you can find me here on twitch.tv/Point in Progress. You can find me on Twitch playing demos at twitch.tv/Zoranix. You can also find me bi-weekly. We are not recording this coming week, but we're recording the week after, called Speaking of Stadia, where we talk about Stadia, which is fantastic. And we do that over on the Game Source Network YouTube page, and we do record live. So if you're listening right now and you want to talk about Stadia, or if you just want to drop in and say hello, we do post on our Twitter at twitter.com/Speaking of Stadia, because it's not Point in Progress.
At Point in Progress.
At Speaking with Luna.
Keep an eye out for Speaking of Luna. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I'm starting a podcast called Speaking of Pasta, and just me eating pasta all the time.
That sounds so good, though.
It does.
Could I join you?
Absolutely. First episode, rigatoni. Let's do it.
The podcast.
Yeah. One of these days we will all get together at the Pope table.
I need a gabagool podcast. Gabagool. We just yell that the entire time.
Just meats.
The thing with the pasta podcast is the entire intro has to be us like with words that the peas pop. So you have to pop all your peas in the entire intro just to ruin.
You don't want it. You know a word I'm going to use immediately, and it starts with.
I know exactly.
Let's
pop that.
Basically what I'm going to be doing the whole podcast. Anyways, you can find me at over at Point in Progress. I believe I'm doing a Venom video. I recorded it, and I'm just curious how I feel about it. How, you know, because basically I just said a bunch of dumb things, very similar to what you heard earlier.
What does Hassan think about it?
I don't know, Hassan. What do you think about it? I hope I'm looking the right way. I have no idea.
Yeah,
you are.
I got to do it with like his hands are like this.
Yeah.
Tax the rich.
This is the thumbnail. Tax the rich.
Tax the 1%.
But you can find me over at that youtube.com/thatmarrivera, where I still do my Halo show. We are currently in the last half of Halo 2, which has been a lot of fun. I currently have a current guest coming up. I believe it's going to be Charlie Wackles, who is at Android Central, and he was formerly of DualShockers. So you're going to see some more people from DualShockers on that channel. You can always find me at Night Mute City, which is my new Twitter handle. And yeah, I have videos at TechRaptor, techraptor.net. You go over there, or you could go to the YouTube channel, which I will definitely verify what that YouTube channel is, because TechRaptor isn't, it's owned by somebody else. But until then, that's where you can find all of us on the net. And yeah, I think it's finally time. Progress has been made.
Shout out to Misty Monday.
Yeah! Yeah!